Welcome to this video about delegation in nursing. What is actually mean by delegation? It is primarily about entrusting your authority to others. This meaning is given by Raphael M. Verichel. Coming to the definition of the term delegation, it is a transferring to a competent individual the authority to perform a selected nursing task in a selected situation. It is a transferring of authority to a competent individual from one person or from a higher authority to perform a particular nursing task in a selected situation. This is the definition given by National Council of State Boards of Nursing, that is NCSB. Coming to elements of delegation, in this triangle you can see three elements: responsibility, accountability and authority. This is called a delegation triangle. Elements of delegation are three: responsibility, accountability and authority, called as delegation triangle. Now, what is the need of delegation or why delegation is important? Because there are three reasons. There is increased acuity of patients nowadays. There is increased RN responsibilities in the management of nursing unit and organization. And also there is accelerated pace and changing healthcare environment. These are the reasons why delegation is needed nowadays. About various purposes of delegation. There are 7 purposes behind the process of delegation. Number 1, for assigning routine work, we can utilize delegation, or routine work can be delegated to subordinate. Then for problem solving, we can use the process of delegation. To reduce the workload, third one. Fourth one, for the changes in nurse managers job emphasis or a nursing person's job emphasis, or for rewriting the job description, we can utilize the process of delegation. That means some aspect of a job of a particular person can be delegated to some other subordinate who is able to perform that particular job. Fifth one, for capacity building of subordinate. Sixth one, for effective time management. If a job is performed by one person or different tasks are performed by one person, more time is required than it is divided and performed. And the seventh one, for quality improvement in the nursing unit or institution. These are the 7 purposes of delegation. Next, we will see about principles of delegation. First one, the right person. The person to whom the task is delegated or assigned should be competent enough to perform that task. That is meant by principle of right person. Next, interesting and uninteresting task. A delegator should assign the tasks which are interesting as well as uninteresting to the subordinates. Next, enough time to learn. It means the delegation should take place in advance so that there is sufficient time for the performer to learn the task. Next, gradual delegation. A superior should not delegate a number of tasks at a time. It has to be delegated gradually, or the task has to be divided before delegation. Next principle, expected result. The superior should have clear idea about what is expected of an action or a task that is going to be delegated. Equality, it simply means no partiality should be shown by a superior in assigning tasks to his subordinate. Unity of command, it means one subordinate should receive delegation from only one superior. Next, delegate in advance so that the subordinate will have enough time to learn. Next, consultation or seek agreement or consent of the subordinate before delegating a particular task to him. Next, we will see about the steps of delegation or the delegation process. It involves 5 steps. Number 1, define the task. It simply means identify and determine what task has to be performed by the subordinate. Then decide on the delegate. Identify the right person or the competent person to perform the particular task that is already defined. Third step, reach an agreement between the delegate and the delegator. Monitor the performance of the delegate by the superior. And finally, provide feedback by the superior to the subordinate about his performance. These are the 5 steps of delegation process. This slide explains to you the summary of the process of delegation. You can see here the first step, the task is identified or defined. Then the determination of the delegate. For determining about the delegate, one question have to be asked by the superior to himself. Are you the only one person who can perform this task? The answer is yes. That task should not be delegated or do it by the superior or yourself. If the answer is no, it can be delegated to the suitable person and the delegation process continues, like monitoring the performance and giving feedback to the delegate. Coming to the some strategies for successful delegation. Plan ahead or plan in advance or delegate in advance. Next, identify the necessary skill and education level to complete the delegated task. A task that can be performed by a person who is able to perform the particular task. So, identify those skills and capabilities. Then, select the personnel based on the skill that we have identified. Next strategy, communicate the goals clearly to the selected person or to the delegate. Next, empower the delegate or give encouragement to the delegates. Next strategy, set guideline and monitor the progress made by the delegate. Monitor role and provide guidance appropriately. Evaluate the performance and finally reward the accomplishment by the delegate. These are the strategies for effective delegation. Coming to the types of delegation, it involves 2 main types. Number 1, formal delegation. It is used in the exercise of authorities defined by organization's role or in the organization itself or the organization authority or the top level management decide what task that has to be delegated. That is called a formal delegation. Second type of delegation is called the informal delegation. It occurs because people want to do something not they are told to do officially. If somebody says officially to do something, that is called a formal delegation. If there is informal assignment of duty to somebody, that is called an informal delegation because they just want to do for learning purpose. The delegation process can come across certain type of errors. The first error, under delegating. It occurs when the manager or superior assume that the delegation may be interpreted as a lack of ability on his or her part to do the job. So, such a assumption or such a belief will lead to under delegating. Second error is over delegation. In this image, you can see everything is delegated by the superior to the subordinate. So, the superior is taking rest and the subordinate is overburdened with their responsibility. That is called a over delegating. Third one, improper delegating. It includes things such as delegating at the wrong time to the wrong person or for the wrong reason. We have already seen delegate in advance, not all of a sudden. Delegate only to the competent person or capable person and delegate only to the right reason or expecting the result of delegation. So if these 3 things are violated, that will result in improper delegating. Here we will see some barriers to delegation. The barriers are classified into 3. Barriers in the delegator, barriers in the subordinate and barriers in the situation. First about barriers in the delegator or barriers in the supervisor. There are 6 barriers. 1, personal perfectionism. Second, lack of faith in the subordinate. Third, fear of subordinate. Fourth, love of authority. Fifth, strict control, and sixth one, lack of organizational skill in balancing the workload. So these barriers in the delegator or supervisor make the delegation process difficult. Second set of barriers belongs to delegate or subordinate. First one, lack of experience, lack of competence, lack of self-confidence, lack of incentives, fear of harsh criticism from supervisor, over dependence on the boss, and overload of work. If any subordinate have any of these seven barriers, he is unable to perform the task that is delegated. About the third set of barriers, that is in the organization or situation. There are six barriers: small size, decreased team spirit, lack of proper communication, confusion in responsibility and authority, urgency, it means having no time to explain the task to be performed, and the sixth one, criticality of decision. If these barriers are present, then the delegation process will be difficult in such a situation or organization. Coming to some prerequisites for effective delegation: motivation, training, effective control, good organizational climate, clarity in objectives and goals, responsibility and authority, centralization versus decentralization. Also, we can say the factors that contribute to effective delegation. These are the seven factors. Also here we have to remember centralization and decentralization are two modes of organizing delegation. Delegation actually refers to the downward transfer of responsibility and authority at individual level, whereas the downward transfer of responsibility and authority occurs at the organizational level in a systematic way, that is called the decentralization. If there is a formal way of transferring responsibility and authority as defined by the organization or top level management, that is called a decentralization. If the transfer of responsibility and authority occurs from individual to individual, that is from one superior to his subordinate, then that is called a delegation. That is a difference between delegation and decentralization. Lastly, about the advantages of delegation. From the summary of the information that we have already seen, delegation serves as a vehicle of coordination. It has time saving, or it helps in time management. It gives a sense of responsibility and enhancement of potential capacity of individual employee. It minimizes delay in decision making. It permits subordinate to enlarge their jobs. It will lead to job satisfaction and work productivity. About some disadvantages of delegation. One, incapacity of delegation. If there are some barriers, especially chance of malpractice by incapable subordinate to whom the task is assigned. Then delegation will be problematic if the delegator is incapable to delegate it appropriately. Then the human life is very fragile, or frailty of human life. So the exactly capable person or skillful person should be delegated to perform the task related to human life. Then eyewash delegation, it means nonsense delegation or just namesake delegation. Coming to the role of nurse administrators in process of delegation. The nurse administrator should function as a role model, supporter and resource person to the subordinate. She should encourage the followers or subordinate. Communicate clearly when delegating. Plan ahead and delegate proactively, or delegate in advance rather than waiting until the urgency is present and crisis response is required. Don't wait for the last minute, delegate it early. Convey feeling of confidence and encouragement to the subordinate to whom the work is delegated. Be sensitive if there is trans-cultural delegation. For example, a nurse manager who is white is delegating some responsibility or task to a black citizen. Work to establish a culture of mutual trust, teamwork, and open communication in the unit. Create job description before delegating. The nurse manager should be knowledgeable regarding the legal liabilities of subordinate supervision. Assess the subordinate capability and motivate them before delegating. A periodic review must be conducted about the performance of delegated tasks. Avoid overburdening of the subordinate or delegates. Provide recognition and reward for the completion of delegate. And lastly, formal education and training opportunities on delegation principles for the staff. In this video, we have covered these aspects of delegation process: definition, need, purposes, principles, different steps or process, types, barriers, errors, and role of nurse administrator in delegation. Here is the end of this section. Thanks for watching.